All right, good evening. We'll call to order the Monday, May 22nd, 2023 meeting of the Corte Madera Parks and Recreation Commission. Will you all please stand and salute the flag?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, under God, and justice for all.
Well, all right. Rebecca, will you please do roll call?
Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Commissioner Elson?
Here.
Commissioner Koenig is absent. Commissioner Phipps?
Here.
Commissioner Rose?
Here.
Commissioner Blumling is absent. Vice Chair Charlie?
Here.
And Chair Miles.
Here. All right. Before we start with items on our agenda, we'll open for public comment for items not on our agenda. Members of the public will be given 3 minutes apiece and can either raise a hand or email comments to publiccomment@tcmmail.org. Rebecca, do we have any raised hands?
We do, but just a moment, please, while I promote the timer into the meeting so that I can track that. And I will call on Clark Miller. Clark, you should be able to speak.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Good evening, dear Parks and Recreations Commissioners and Acting Parks and Recreation Director Tim Berry. My name is Clark Miller. On behalf of the Corte Madera Football Club, I wanted to share with you an update on a field walk of Town Park that our club did Friday, May 19th with Acting Parks and Recreation Director Tim Berry and members of the Corte Madera Public Works staff, including Director RJ Succo, Assistant Superintendent of Public Works Wesley Sichler, and Senior Maintenance Worker Vernon Santos. This walk was a follow-up to a similar walk with town staff in November 2022 to strategize on a maintenance plan for the fields to get them into good playing condition for the 2023 season. At Friday's field walk meeting, we had a constructive conversation reviewing the effectiveness of the maintenance plans that Public Works had recommended last fall. That maintenance plan called for rolling the sports fields, performing aeration, applying seed and fertilizer, and adding topsoil where necessary. Due to a variety of factors, including an abnormally rainy winter, it was clear during our walk on May 19th that while the fields have shown some improvement due to Public Works' concerted efforts, there is still significant work required to get them to a condition comparable with the other natural grass fields in our league. Fortunately, with soccer tryouts wrapping up now, there's an opportunity to perform a more rigorous maintenance program during the summer months before the club season begins on August 14th. That plan was discussed with Public Works was to perform a more frequent series of aerating, seeding, and fertilizing, all while allowing the fields, particularly East Field, to rest for the summer. Additionally, we discussed more frequent mowing of the fields in season, 2 times per week versus 1 time historically, and at a lower blade level. While we're optimistic these efforts will yield better results for the fall season, there is, however, a significant impediment to these efforts achieving their full potential, and that's the current abundance of weeds on the fields. These weeds are highly invasive, are currently spreading across large swaths of the fields, and are outcompeting the grass to become the more dominant ground covering. Furthermore, the weeds grow at different heights and densities from the existing rye grass, which exacerbates the unevenness of the existing field surface and creates depressions on the fields, which are challenging and potentially dangerous for players to navigate. In order for the summer maintenance plans we discussed with Public Works to be truly effective, these weeds must be eradicated first, and the only successful way to do it is with pesticides. Therefore, we are requesting the Parks and Recreation Commission consider allowing pesticide application for a temporary period only during this summer break on targeted areas of the soccer fields. We understand the town has a moratorium on pesticide use, so we'd like to understand the process by which an exception can be made, and given the urgency of needing the pesticide applied, we'd like to see if this topic can be considered by Parks and Rec so it can be taken to town council for their approval at their next meeting on June 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Because this item is not on the agenda, it's not something we can discuss here today, but I would like to direct staff to make sure we have this on the agenda so we can have a proper conversation on it on our next meeting. As part of that, it's my understanding that RJ and team have been advised by a grass company on the best ways to handle it. So if we can get a report from them too on kind of their assessment of their actions to date, what their recommendations are, and what would be our options with pesticides, non-pesticides, kind of weeds management alternatives. And if it comes up in your discovery, any issues with or recommendations about pesticides, if there's anyone between at the town that could give us advice on implications from an environmental and health and safety perspective. I just don't think we're knowledgeable enough, and I appreciate this being brought to our attention, and we just need a bit more information before we can comment. So that'd be great. Rebecca, do we have other raised hands?
Thank you. And yes, staff is aware of this request, and we are staff is doing some work and some research on it to provide you with
Awesome.
more information and background and education for all of us.
Great.
Actually. The next person that I will call on will be Jill Sellers. Jill, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yes, hi. Okay, great. Thank you. Jill Sellers, I spoke to you last time, and as always, appreciate your time and your service to our town. I just, I'm going to follow up with Clark that as a parent in the program, the soccer program here, a very involved parent, that I am in full support of the need to mitigate these weeds in a way that is quick and reasonable. Certainly digging them out is always a preferred choice to pesticide application, but that becomes a significant cost barrier to the town because they're, from our understanding, with RJ and others, we will damage irrigation lines and other types of things that are a little bit unforeseen when you start looking at digging things out. I'm also concerned as a parent because I love this program for our community. I think it's one of the strongest community programs for our children. And I am seeing people needing to leave the program because of the field condition. By that, I mean, people want their kids playing on more even surfaces and excuse me, and on turf that is just more effective for play and growth. So I just wanted to throw those points into the hat. I have a lot of pictures that I'm happy to provide anybody in the town. I'm just not sure where to send them that really show how the different types of weeds, which tend to occur in islands throughout the field, really affect the overall playability of the field because of the height variation as one part. And so I just wanted to share that. I've lived here for 18 years. I have applied pesticide to my lawn exactly one time, and I reduced the weeds in my lawn by about 90%, and it is truly thriving as a result of that. It allowed the grass to repopulate. So I can see what it can do, and I understand the challenges with the town's moratorium, but I think it's time for us to take some quick action. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. And if you want to send any photos to share with the commission, you can send them to me directly, Rebecca Vaughn, or you can send it to public comment at tcmmail.org.
Okay.
rvaughn@tcmmail.org. And
great. Thank you so much. I will do that tonight or tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Now we come to Donna.
Okay. And the next person that I will call on is Sarah. Sarah, you should be able to unmute yourself and talk.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So I apologize. There might be a lot of noise here. I'm at a playoff baseball game, but I want to reiterate what Clark and Jill have both said regarding the fields. I'm not going to say the same information, but what I would encourage is for the commission and for the town council and anybody who wants to see it for themselves. I mean, someone described it pretty well, saying when you walk out to Town Park, it looks like a Monet. From a distance, it looks like it's a, reasonably grassed field. But when you go up close and when you're these kids and you're playing on these fields, whether it be for soccer or lacrosse or the outfield to baseball, there's a ton of weeds out there that are just causing, not ideal playing environments. And as stated by the previous two, those weeds are just invasive and they're going to keep taking over the field. So I would strongly encourage the town to consider this, one-time pesticide resolution to the problem. We are keeping the fields closed, from my understanding from the meeting that we had last week, all the way through until August 14th, that east field, which gives plenty of time with people staying off of it for, a pesticide to be put down and a, new growing environment to come to life on it. So, I want to encourage people to go see it for themselves. And, we do have tons of pictures, and Rebecca, we will send those along. But definitely, go for a stroll and check it out.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Oh no, I lost my public comment email. I don't believe we have any emailed public comment, but if you want to move on, I can always return to public comment later if we had any emailed public comment.
All right. So,
Oh, it is open. Wait. No, it was still open. And no, we did not receive any emailed
Great.
public comment.
So as there are no other comments, we will close public comment at this time and move on to presentations. So today, presentation of the proposal for renovation of Town Park Skate Park in partnership with the Scotty Lapp Foundation.
Well, good evening. We have two representatives from the Scott Foundation. We have a lovely slideshow they put together, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have. But I'm gonna let them take it away because they do such an amazing job.
We haven't begun yet, so don't say that. Hi, my name is Amy Lapp, and this is Christina Bosch.
Hi. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having us.
We are members of the Scotty Lapp Foundation. Is a presentation good? If you don't mind, I didn't bring a copy for myself. Sorry. Oh, thank you. That's great. So we started the Scotty Lapp Foundation last year in 2022. We lost our son. I'm going to try not to cry. Darn it. I do this every time in public and I try not to. So our son Scotty grew up in Tiburon until he was 15, was born in San Francisco. We lived in Tiburon since he was 6 months old. We have two kids, Ryan and Scotty, and Scotty we're fortunate in his 16 years, he lived every day was big. Since he was a little guy, he was an old soul and really lived every day to its fullest and lived and loved and laughed. And it was great. But so we lived in Tiburon for a long time, and needless to say, I spent many hours at Town Park with my kids when they were little, in Lion Park, they would call it, because there was some big lion. I don't know if it's still there. So we spent a lot of time over there. He was interested in skateboarding when he was little. So we would go over to the skate park, but the metal ramps, I believe they might even be the same metal ramps with just a coating on them now and maybe a backboard. I don't know, but they're large and they're for advanced skaters. So Scotty used to hold on to his little skateboard and just slide down the ramps so he could pretend like he was skating, but he wasn't. So we hung out there a lot. And the boys advanced, they were playing competitive soccer, and then they got into skiing. And the love of free ride skiing took over in our family. It's all we could think about. We were the weekend warriors. We were there all the time. So Scotty came to us and really pitched hard. He was like, listen, I can't be competitive in my sport if I'm not there at least training at least 5 or 6 days a week. And of course, his brother Ryan was in. So we had to convince my husband, Jason, and we hooked him. And we moved to Tahoe in the fall or in the summer of 2021. So we'd been in Tahoe for 6 months, and Scotty was at a ski comp, had a great day, was with all of his coaches, and he and another kid collided on the mountain and he severed his aorta and died right there on the mountain. So 5 days later, we planned a memorial and 2,000 people showed up. And this community in Tahoe really just took us into their arms. And then our community here in Marin has been left like, what do we do? How do we help these guys? And so we are fortunate to have two communities that have wrapped us up in their arms. So that's a little bit about Scotty and our history. Take the next slide. So we decided, it came to me literally minutes after Scotty's passing. I think he was channeling through me. I looked up at everyone that was there and I said, I'm building a skate park. We're going to build a skate park, because Scotty came to me and said, Mom, I'm friends with the sheriff in Tahoe City. I said, why are you friends with the sheriff, Scotty? And he said, he's really nice, but he has to kick us out of all the parking lots because there's nowhere for us to skate. The closest skate park's 45 minutes away. So in the off season, that's what the kids would like to do. And turned out the sheriff that came the day he died is the sheriff Scotty was talking about. And he said, your son was always so polite and he always said thank you. And he always asked if he could do one more trick before he moved down the road. And I would probably see him in another half an hour to kick him out of wherever he was going. So we wanted to create a skate park in Tahoe City, or on the North Shore of Tahoe, that was fun, like Scotty, creative like Scotty, and inclusive. Scotty loved nothing more than having all of his buddies together and getting everybody excited about something. This is something Christina can attest to. Our sons grew up together in preschool, and Scotty used to play soccer kids and would have the 4-year-olds with all their shirts off running around the field waving their shirts. Anyway, so we built a pop-up park in Tahoe City. We built this park on donated land from Evo. They repaved their parking lot and are carrying the insurance for us to have this pop-up skate park for the kids. We built it in 5 days with $20,000 in donated material, and 4 of the best contractors on the West Shore of Tahoe came and offered their time and built. So it was a real cool community experience. So we have a little bit of experience building skate parks. This was designed on a napkin. We have people that come from all over to skate it. Reno, Sacramento, Auburn, kids come from everywhere. So we see the power of a skate park and having a skate park that's inclusive and that a lot of people can skate, beginners to advanced, adaptive. So we have a little bit of experience, but we'd like to have more in building skate parks. Next slide, please. So I'll let Christina take it from here.
So like Amy mentioned before, I met Amy when our boys were at the little school, preschool. They were 2 years old. So I have a personal connection to Scotty and the Lapp family, Ryan and Jason. But professionally, I have worked as a fundraiser in the nonprofit sector for 20 years. So of course, like so many other people connected to the Lapps, I wanted to do something to support this mission that they had to build a skate park and just in general do great things for the community in Scotty's spirit. We're talking to you today about improvements for the skate park, but just to back up and let you know what kind of the bigger picture, looking at it from a higher view and through a bigger lens. Scotty truly was the most inclusive, positive, non-judgmental, so much energy. That's who he was, and that's how he lived his life. And so really that is at the core of everything that we're doing with the mission, the inclusivity and making everybody feel like they have a place to belong. Having the background of being competitive skiers, and for those of you who are parents or possibly have kids in skiing, it's really cost prohibitive. It's very, very expensive. And the beauty of skate parks is that it's open to anyone. It's really just a board, right? It doesn't cost a lot of money. And so starting with a skate park is a way to create a community that is inclusive for everyone, but it's not cost prohibitive. Looking at some other projects that we're also working on, doing scholarships through Palisades and SQUA, not SQUA, Palisades, Old Habits Die Hard, doing cash scholarships for athletes to travel so that more athletes that are interested in being on ski team and being on competitive team, we would be granting them funds to contribute to the cost of their experience. So next slide, maybe Tim, let's see where we're going here. So talking about a little bit more of just the operations of the foundation. Like I said, I have 20 years in nonprofit fundraising. Another board member is the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. So another board member is an attorney. So we have experience in fundraising, in operations and marketing, and legal and compliance. We are a 501c3, and we currently have over $1 million in pledges, and that is in just over a year. So there's a lot of traction. There's a lot of organization. Our structure is very solid. As Amy talked about before, there's already been a pop-up, and we have money to spend. We have funds, and we have so many people that are backing this mission. And when we thought about the Corte Madera skate park, I reached out to Tim a couple of months ago and started the conversation, and everything just came together, right? This opportunity to invest, make an initial investment and improvement for a park that's already there, where Scotty himself skated. Next slide, please. And then lastly, just talking about the foundation, we wanted to share with you some of our current partnerships and supporters so that you understand some of the heft and weight that we have behind our organization. Visa has been a donor. The U.S. Ski and Snowboard team held an event and made a donation to the foundation. Palisades obviously has been incredibly supportive financially, helping us hold events. And then just County of Placer, Shea McConkey Foundation. Some of these may or may not ring a bell to you, but Tahoe Daves, if you've been to Tahoe, you certainly know Tahoe Daves. They've been just an amazing supporter. And then California Skate Parks. I think I'm going to let Amy talk about California Skate Parks because we're looking to do a partnership for this proposed project with California Skate Parks. I want to talk a little bit about
Yeah, so as everything that's happened since Scotty passed away, people come together in weird ways. In fact, I'll tell you a little story about the skate park in a minute. That's just from tonight. But a contractor friend of ours in Tahoe, the reason the skate park in Tahoe is not built right now because building something in the Tahoe Basin is next to impossible. The county had offered to give us the land this spring, and they just found a deed restriction on the property. So we're pushed back. So now I'm working with the school district. So I've got land use attorneys and a TRPA consultant that's offered their time. So we're working hard on that. Don't think that that's not going to happen because it will. I was connected with California Skate Parks, a contractor that's on my skate park committee there said, I built a skate park in Martis Camp. I worked with this guy, Zach, at California Skate Parks. He's amazing. Turns out Zach and I went to high school and middle school together. He helped start California Skate Parks, and California Skate Parks builds parks all over the world. They just did a pop-up park in Rome, in front of the Coliseum. They built all the skate parks for the Olympics. They are working right now with adaptive skaters. And Zach just told me he got out of a meeting where they worked with some kids that were blind to learn how can we make a skate park better for you, making maps that they can feel with their hands so they know where transitions are. You can color code concrete in transitions so people know it's coming. You make the ledges just 4 inches wider and more people can skate it. So our big thing is to make, like I said, this park inclusive for everyone. Right now, it's not. It's pretty advanced. And I got firsthand little story. I went over to the skate park just to sort of calm my mind and think about it today. And I was at Corte Madera, and there's maybe a 15-year-old kid and 3 like 30-year-old dudes. And this 15-year-old was trying to teach the 30-year-olds how to do these tricks. And they're like, dude, how do you do that? Like, I can't even do it. And he's like, you'll get it, man. Just watch one more time. And that's a really cool part about a skate park. It doesn't matter the color of your skin or how old you are. Everybody's stoked for everybody because you work so hard to get these tricks and you get beat up and you fall off your board and you hurt yourself. So this kid, I watched for a minute and I said, hey, do you skate here a lot? And he goes, every day. And I said, okay, so like, and he walks up to me and he goes, hey, nice bracelet. And he had this bracelet on. It's a Ski for Scotty bracelet. It says for Scotty and it says send, shred, skate, sunsets, like all the things he loved. And I said, did you know Scotty? And he said, well, we have common friends, but we met over Snapchat and he was supposed to come down and film me while I was skating. He goes, I compete in skate comps all over the place, and Proof Lab's my home like shop, but I'm here every day. And I go, well, what would you think about improvements to this park? He's like, are you kidding me? He's like, I've been wanting this for years. And his name's Jasper. He's a total cutie. So I got his phone number, and it's just interesting how things come together, and it's around Scotty like this. So the reason we love skate parks, it provides resources to youth. It's affordable. It's like $125 to $150 for a helmet and a skateboard. It's, like I say, it's inclusive. It's an Olympic sport. My goal is to get a Scotty skater to the Olympics, and I'm going to do it. I don't know where, but I'm going to spread a wide net and hopefully make yeah. It creates community, and for kids these days, mental health is a real challenge. It gets these kids out of the house, off the video games, provides good mental and physical health. And one thing I have noticed in our pop-up park is some kids aren't team sport kind of kids. That's not their jam. Or maybe in Marine, I know competitive sports are really popular and they're really expensive. I paid a lot of soccer dues over the days. So this is a way that kids can come together and feel a community and actually go somewhere with it and do something with it. So one thing we didn't mention, we have worked with the Tony Hawk Foundation from about a month after Scotty died. So they're on our weekly board meetings, and we are using them as a real resource. Their jam right now is to build skate parks in towns that don't have them. So I haven't approached them about Corte Madera for funding, but I will touch base with them. So know that we do have some like organizational backing behind building skate parks as well. Next slide, please. You want to take this one?
Sure. I think, a lot of this, we're sort of talking from the heart. So bear with us. A lot of this is repetitive. This is what we're doing. This is our authentic feelings about this. We're really passionate. We touched on the inclusivity, and Amy talked a little bit about adaptive skaters. Your current skate park is 4,000 square feet. And in our initial conversations with California Skate Park, they talked a lot about making adjustments for adaptive athletes. And we assumed that 4,000 square feet would be too small. But after talking with California Skate Parks and one of the founders there, he said 4,000 square feet, absolutely, there's opportunities for us to provide access to adaptive athletes. And that could be a variety of definitions of what that means. Zach had given me the example of blind athletes, physically disabled. So adaptability is really important in this potential design. Additionally, as Amy touched on, and in my initial conversations with Tim, I know there's been feedback throughout the years that this park is actually quite advanced. And I remember when my children were younger as well, it was too scary, it's too high. And Zach's vision for an improvement or a redesign would include an opportunity for the park to be accessible to younger kids. And I am not a skateboarder, so bear with me when I try to explain. It's not about how high it is, it's put it lower and you just do harder tricks, right? But right now it's really limited to pretty advanced skaters. And then obviously the location, we talked about why that's important. There's a personal connection. One thing about the Corte Madera Park, it really is sort of the heart of the community. I can't tell you how many birthday parties I've been there, soccer camps. It's really the heart of this community. And we love that. It reaches many communities, not just people in Corte Madera. So it has a broader reach. And the accessibility, one of the roadblocks that Amy's run into in her Tahoe project is that it's pretty remote and hard for people to get to, but the accessibility geographically, physically, it's accessible by bike, by foot, by car. School gets out, kids can come over right to the park after school. And then of course, local to Scotty, an opportunity for Scotty's community, his family and friends to be able to gather doing a sport that he loves so much in his memory is really why this is, important that this is where we have our first skate park. Slide, Tim. And we talked a little bit about this too, working with California skate parks, that we're looking to just modernize the current park that's there, right? We're looking at doing this potential design or this proposed design within the current footprint of 4,000 square feet. The noise reduction, I know the way that the ramps are currently metal, and Amy, when she talked to Jasper tonight, one of the feedback that he said, it's really, really loud. And that's coming from a skater, right? I'm sure the neighbors have something to say about how loud this is. It's bothering the neighbors and it's bothering the skaters. And a concrete skate park would reduce noise considerably for the neighbors and for the skaters. And we talked about all abilities from beginner to advanced and accessibility for adaptive athletes. Let's see. When all else fails, go to paper.
So I think the next few
Of the design.
photos are just some conceptual photographs of what a skate park could look like. Obviously, ours would be tailored to the area. Yeah, go ahead.
Do we need to wait just for a second to make sure anybody that's listening or for the recording that we have the video or the slides, or are they available somewhere else? Because I mean, they're amazing. I just want to make sure that. Okay.
Tim, Jason emailed a PDF version, if that's helpful.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's good.
Well, on your paper packets, you can see these were some renderings provided to us by California skate parks. I mean, this is in no way, any sort of final design or proposal. We just wanted to give you some visual references of what a modern skate park can be and could be. It's obviously lots of room for input from the community to design a park that would be appropriate for the current footprint. Great.
Cool.
And then where do we go from here? Jump in?
Yeah, sure.
Great.
So we have a project team along with our partners, California Skate Parks and the Skate Park Project.
Which is Tony Hawk Foundation.
Tony Hawk's Foundation. We would love to see this at Corte Madera Park. There's an existing park that could use a little love. I know that this was redone. I believe it was in 2017. And I still think there's a lot of room for improvement. So, and Jasper told me the same today. So, and so if we got approval, design and build would take 3 to 6 months. Project, according to Zach right now. We would work on the funding on our end. That could be us raising the money. We might look into some grants. It just depends on sort of what we end up designing and what the bill might look like. So far, we've raised for the Tahoe skate park about $500,000. But I kind of feel like that money is for Tahoe. Those were the original contributions. So we have a lot of eager donors here in Marin that are willing, and we haven't even tapped into the businesses yet. So we'll get to work on that. And then at the very end, we just want to get out there and skate. And I want to see all you out there. The beginning lesson with me. Sarah will fix us afterwards.
Yeah. And lastly, community input. One of the things that we learned in our conversations with Zach from California Skate Park, one of the things that they do is engage the local skaters and local communities in their thoughts in the design process. So obviously looking outside the skating community, we know that noise is an issue and that would immediately be mitigated by this improvement plan. So as it would relate to the skaters, we want them to have agency here, and we want them to have ownership and pride over this. And the way to do that is to engage them in this conceptual process, which California State Skate Parks absolutely has experience doing. They think it's a crucial part of the planning process to engage the local skaters again, so there's agency. I know that we heard that sometimes there's some graffiti that comes from time to time that pops up, and I think we could mitigate that by really engaging these skaters and saying, this is your park, you helped design it, and give them agency and want to protect that vision. So I think that that would be really, really helpful. We have already, so if you look at the community meeting, I'm not sure if it did make it onto your flyer, that we have already set up a time and a date. If we get the go ahead from you guys to engage the community on May 31st at 4:30. And we have plans to make flyers, put this at the local skate shops, to send them to many, many elementary and middle schools and high schools in Marin. I think Amy forgot to mention that Scotty did have his freshman year at Redwood. So he has a really strong community at Redwood High School, and these kids are very, very eager to get involved and help support. So they have assured us that they will bring a big group of kids from Redwood. Additionally, we will reach out to the rec centers, let everybody know that this meeting is happening. There's a QR code here so that people who aren't able to attend the meeting can scan it, and it'll link to a Google Doc that we've made, a Google survey. And the questions on there just preliminarily are, do you live in Corte Madera? Have you visited the park? Do you have children that have visited the park? Would you visit the park if improvements were made? And any other comments, questions, concerns about the park. And we'll create that in this online document so that we would be able to come back to you. As you probably know, Google Docs can create an algorithm that tells you sort of a story in one slide about all the responses. So we've been really thoughtful, and we'll continue to be thoughtful about presenting you with community thoughts and feelings about that. We understand that that's a really important part of this process. And the newsletter, the Corte Madera newsletter, Tim has offered to add that to the town communication piece about the community meeting as well. I think that's it. So we'd love to take any questions.
So on behalf of the entire commission, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
And am incredibly impressed with what you guys have put together in honor of your son. I have no questions. Open it up to my commissioners.
I feel bad. I always make people cry everywhere I go.
Oh, go ahead.
I echo that, and I will try not to cry. I heard about Scotty from a mutual friend that we have. So very touching and powerful what you're turning that energy into. I have just one question, which is, has there been any work done at this point to try to estimate what the cost would be?
So it's a little early. It's kind of, but Zach from California Skate Parks says we can estimate around 65 to 75 a square foot. So.
And then I guess one question, maybe Tim, for you is, has there been any discussion about the possibility to expand the size of the skate park? Would that be explored as part of this process? It is, I appreciate that you could do something within the space that we have, which is fantastic, but there may also be an opportunity to build out the space a little bit more.
There hasn't been right now. I mean, obviously, we're still in the middle of the master plan process, and that'll come back in June. Our hope is that we come back in June with at the same time to kind of a joint discussion. But right now we're looking at just the current footprint it's at. But like I said, we are in the middle of master plan, so it is possible.
My husband just texted me that it's around 300,000. Thank you, Jason.
Total.
Yeah, and that I think that's just for the skate park itself. If we're looking at fencing, and what Jason and I would love, we've talked about this forever, is a place for the parents to hang out, like a little seating area. And we would also love, with everyone's approval, to possibly put up a board that tells a little bit about Scotty and the Scotty Lab Foundation. But my whole goal after you lose a child, you just don't want people to forget. And my thing is, it makes me so happy in Tahoe. I hear the kids, are you going to Scotty's to skate? Are you going to Scotty's to skate? So you hear Scotty's all the time. And I know it would mean so much to their friends too, to have his name on something here in a place that they could go. So anyway, back to the skate park. I think the 65 to 75 square foot's just for the skate park itself.
Now, is that, I see on this slide, it breaks out different types of materials, formal, dry concrete, contemporary, professional. Which one are you planning on or your goal to use?
You know, I do not know at this point. I would have to ask Zach what materials they use for it, but it's a sustainable concrete that should last with very little maintenance for 20 to 30 years.
Okay.
So
I was on the commission when we did the previous improvement and including the kids, and it was just amazing. It was, yeah, really important and special that they participated, and they did have a huge ownership and pride in the project. I believe, if I remember correctly, we didn't use concrete because it was too expensive at the time for our budget.
I think you guys spent like 150,000 or 60,000, something like that.
So, but yeah, the idea of concrete, although I hear the park and it just makes me think, oh, people are using it, and that's
Yeah,
really,
makes you feel good.
people might be really annoyed by it, but
Yeah.
concrete sounds really great. And
Kids playing.
yeah, really thank you for taking this on and having a project like this to
Thank
honor
you.
your son.
Thank you so much.
So what do you need from us and what do you need from the town with this project?
We might throw this over to Tim right now.
Or do you want to chime in here?
Yeah, sure. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes. Hi, RJ.
Hi, good evening. RJ Seco, Director of Public Works. So really, yeah, Tim and I had a really productive and touching meeting with them several weeks ago, and obviously heard a lot of the same things you heard today. It's a really great project, vision, all the above. And, you know, we talked about the existing footprint being really the thing that's most easily achievable at this time, and that, you know, it wouldn't preclude a possible expansion, but at the same time, there's competing interests. So I think, you know, they want to get something in the ground sooner than later. And so I said that's probably the best way to go about it, is kind of just focus on the existing footprint for now. But really, I think at this point, the ask is just support for them to proceed with further outreach and really help develop some plans and bring it back to Parks and Rec Commission. And eventually, if, you know, the community fully supports it and we're able to address any concerns, then obviously this continues on and eventually goes to council for possible consideration and approval.
I think what I would add to is just spread the word when we have the meeting set and the date, just spread it to the people. We're all very connected in the community, wherever our kids go, we're a part of. Just the more community input, the better. We really want the kids and the community to buy into this. I think that's a huge role commission will play in just getting the word out there.
Tim, normally we do, when we're proposing something like the skate park, we like reach out to the neighbors on Pixley. Is that something we would do? Is, you know, would we let them go ahead and move forward with meetings and, you know, developing ideas and things like that, and then reach out to the neighbors? Or oops, should we try to kind of bring them in now?
I think it's a great idea. If we have the flyer ready, we can just notice everyone within typically it's a 300-foot radius, but I can do the bubble on Marin maps and see if that grabs the appropriate number of houses. And we can notice the stretch of Pixley. I can get that out this Friday.
Yeah. I think the more we notice, the more smooth this process is going to go. I hate to have all of a sudden get all points all of a sudden.
The flyer makes it clear it's very preliminary. So I think bringing them in early on in the conversation, and those were the neighbors that were asking us to dig deeper and get concrete for those same noise concerns. So we'll put the information out there and just early and often.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, something that we've been using recently that's been very successful is these QR codes. You know, everyone's been using them, but we put them on the A-frame sandwich boards, and we kind of spread them out in targeted areas. And they have really helped get the word out. So I think the event is a week from Wednesday. So obviously the mailer could go out, but may not give everyone as much advance notice, but we could get the A-frames out fairly quickly.
Thank you, RJ.
The other thing we can do is get this into the Cove Hall and Neil Cummins Sunday newsletters. So we'll get that in there too.
We were also thinking of taking the flyer and making some to post on the fence of the skate park, because I'd really like to get the skaters there as well. And like I say, it was really cool that I met Jasper today, and he skates there every day. And he's like, I'll get my whole crew. I'll get my squad. We'll all be here. You just tell me when. I was like, okay. He's like, and I'm pretty confident we can get the money raised. I was like, all right.
I guess, Sarah, I mean, you tell us what's next. I mean, we are ready to go. We are organized. We have plans, we have partners, we have vision. We're coming to you now, so you can tell us, we can be back. We know your next meeting is June 26th. We'll be back. What do you want from us June 26th? What would be helpful to move the project along? And we'll be here with that, as long as you tell us what you need for next steps.
Before we go into commissioner discussion, let's make sure we've covered public comment. Do we have any?
While I am checking to see if we have any raised hands, I will check to see if we have any emailed public comment, and I'm not seeing any emailed public comment on this item. And we do not have any raised hands.
So it sounds like from the commission, they need support for hosting this meeting on 31st. I don't know if we need location support, but it sounds like we have support of staff to move forward. And that staff is on board with helping get the word out, and that the commission will too. Are there any other items I'm forgetting, Tim, that we need to discuss in terms of driving support?
If there's any other details you want to have back in that staff report we write,
Yep.
would be helpful, but I think it's community outreach and getting all the data back to you in June would be essential.
Okay, so it sounds like if the June meeting is when we're having additional master plan conversations. So it does seem to dovetail nicely that if we can get that information back and have one holistic conversation, it'll, I think, facilitate all moving forward. Any other, please?
I would just suggest that we also reach out to Redwood, maybe get somebody from the Bark to do a little article and get something in their daily newsletter to just notify about the community meeting.
We have a couple ambassadors for the foundation there. They've hosted several events at the school already. And one of them has already texted me like 4 times to ask me what she needs to do. So Scotty's old girlfriend, his first girlfriend. So they're ready to go.
Yeah, Redwood is part of our Scotty Lapp Foundation family. In fact, one of their spirit days was Scotty Lapp Foundation Day, where people wore their Scotty Lapp merchandise, and Redwood, both students, teachers, administration are super supportive of our vision. So they'll be a great partner to getting community feedback.
So then the mechanism for the report back is somewhere, I mean, I'll certainly be trying to make the meeting with my little one. Actually, literally last night, a senior from Drake put my 8-year-old on a skateboard for the first time and helped him a few blocks. So this is very timely. So, I certainly am interested in coming, but what's the mechanism for sort of compiling the feedback from different folks and getting it back to us? I'm not clear on that part.
She'll have the data from the Google form that we will present back in the staff report of basically the interest and excitement from what people are asking for in the park, kind of some conceptual plans, what it looks like, and maybe a cost with it too.
Got it. And so you're maintaining the form, we maintain the form and populate it with input we get as well, or how does that,
I think it's all going to probably populate it through them, and then they will share the information with me and I'll write the staff report.
Got it. Okay, great. That's exciting.
Great.
Just really quick, where would we be able to find a PDF of the meeting agenda so we can make that go viral as quickly as
Yeah,
possible?
I want to, before we blast it, I would like to double check the QR code. As I was driving here, my graphics person sent it to me, so I haven't really had a minute to check it. So I'll shoot a final version out to Tim. I would like to also add a QR code that goes to the scottylap.org foundation webpage, which has a lot of information on it as well. So just let me double check those. I'll get those to Tim, and then maybe Tim, would you mind sending that out to the crew?
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
And as far as the agenda, if council has any feedback for us on what you recommend or would like to see, at this point, we just wanted to gather and sort of gauge community interest. And like I said, Google will create sort of an algorithm, right? If 100 people talked about adaptability, that will show up in the report. If 50 people talked about noise, that will show up on the report. But if there's anything that you're looking for specifically, we're happy to add that to the agenda. But right now we're just gauging community support and input. So if there's anything you'd like to see, we'll add it to the agenda.
I would just offer a tip. Tim and his predecessor ran a meeting about bathrooms a number of months ago where they put up designs and they had people sticker vote, and it was a really concise way to gather a lot of feedback. You might get a lot of feedback otherwise. It might be hard to wrangle in. So I think that was a really useful mechanism.
Great.
For them.
So, there's one other thing that comes to mind is that I feel like a lot of times we're addressing the noise issue. So that's great. I mean, it sounds like this is one of those projects where you happily have a concerned population meeting, the other population wants to do something, and it might answer it all. But the other thing that sometimes coincides with skateboarding and parks in people's mind is graffiti, right? So I've often thought, and this idea of them taking ownership, people taking ownership and pride resonates with me as well. But also, there's certain taggers that don't see it as a negative thing. Like, I am taking pride in it. This is how we are doing it. So I was just wondering if there's something to be thought of or brainstormed about how to coincide appropriate tagging. I mean, this is where you can tell I'm an old lady, but like a place where the ownership, like that ownership again meets with the idea that some people don't see tagging or graffiti as a negative thing, like a specific wall dedicated to free. Like, I don't even know if that's possible, but I just wanted to throw that out as something I feel like community members might object to or be concerned about is graffiti.
Sure.
And if we can embrace that and come with ideas about it, it might be helpful.
So after Scotty's passing, there were so many creative things that happened, paintings, like several made about him and his life, songs, edits. I mean, you name it. It was so powerful. And I talked to my husband about it and I said, how cool would it be at a Scotty's Park if we had a rotating art wall? So you could have people come with their designs and maybe once a quarter or twice a year, you switch the art wall over. So there's a new mural on there. And if it has something to do with skating, I don't think kids will tag it. The other thing that has worked for us at the pop-up park is there are several kids that are there literally every day, and we made them ambassadors to the park. And so we said, listen, if there's like a 30-year-old guy drinking or smoking pot in the park, we don't want you to deal with that, but you have our phone numbers and we can come down and talk to them. So, but as far as trash pickup, like we have bear issues in Tahoe and we're in a temporary spot. So we don't have like a bear bin. We just have like a trash can. So if the park's not picked up, the coyotes and the bears come in, even though it's fenced, they find their way. And so they have locked up and picked up every single piece of trash every day. And one of the moms just sent me a text saying, you have no idea what it means for my son to be part of this. It has literally changed his life. So we can find stewards of the park, the kids that are there a lot, and they can help with that. Obviously, we don't want to create any tension or anything like that, but they can regulate on their own. And if kids are willing to step up and do that, but it's really hard. With skateboarding comes a lot of animosity in some people's minds, especially the older generation. And I think it's a little bit of a re-education. And reminding people this, I was talking to the CEO of Palisades about putting a park in at Palisades. And I was like, you know, this is an Olympic sport. She didn't even know that. So that really resonates with people. It legitimizes the sport, I feel. So I think there's a little bit of re-education and also a way to empower the kids and then to also make art part of it because they kind of go hand in hand.
I agree. Some skate parks allow bikes for bike tricks as well. Is that something, I don't know if we allow that even yet or not. I wasn't sure.
I don't know if this is set up for that, the way that it is now, and I don't know much about that. There are ways to include bikes, and I know some parks have bike days, like one day a week is a bike day. If there's real interest in that, we could look into that. I don't know what that entails yet.
No, me neither. I'm thinking of the most
You might want
inclusivity.
to
I don't know.
Consider adding that as another question if
Smart.
you really do want to gauge interest in that. But right now, our rules of conduct prohibit bikes and scooters and.
Scooters are,
It's a small space. So.
Yeah.
Scooters are very popular. There's one kid at our park that scooters and he's amazing. But I would like to include lots of different kinds of wheels in this park, but we are limited in space. And I think bikes need a little more room than skateboards and scooters do.
Well, that was amazing.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for our
I'm
community.
sorry I talked so long about
Yeah.
Scotty. I mean, it's really bad. I can talk about him all day. So sorry about that.
We really appreciate your time and look forward to coming back to you on the 26th, hopefully with pretty comprehensive and extensive data and community feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very much.
Thank
you. Guys.
See you in June.
Sarah.
See, I told you they were amazing. Good job.
Yes. Awesome. All right, now onto the consent calendar. These are items that are routine or have been previously discussed and do not require any further discussion. Any member of the public is welcome to make a comment or pull an item from the consent calendar for further discussion. We'll start by asking if anyone from the commission would like to pull anything from the consent calendar for discussion. Cool. Anyone from the public? Any Zoom? Oh, sorry, Rebecca. Rebecca, has anyone?
Oh, that was special. No, I am not seeing any raised hands and we did not receive any emailed public comment.
Great. With that, we'll bring back to the commission for a possible motion. Would anyone like to move to approve the minutes from April 24th?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I will second that.
Thank you. Rebecca, can we have a vote, please?
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Elson,
Abstain, I was not here.
Commissioner Koenig is absent. Commissioner Phipps,
Yes.
Commissioner Rose,
Yes.
Commissioner Blumling is absent. Vice Chair Charlie,
Yes.
Chair Miles.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Thank you.
All right, tonight we have no business items, so we are on to staff updates and commissioner reports. Tim, take it away.
Thank you so much. Just a quick little snapshot of where we've been for the past month. Our active adult program has been thriving as it has been for the last couple of months. Our bridge, Thursday lunch, seniors and bounce chair yoga is popular as ever. Our Monday class has actually doubled in size over the last week, which is amazing. And our next big band dance is scheduled for June 14th. The Children's Center, they have their large end of year tie-dye event on the 26th of May, and they're already touring for kindergarten families for next year to come in and say, hey, kindergarten's exciting, a little scary at the same time. Come to the Children's Center, come to learn how it works, and basically be part of an after-school program that's a success for both us and for the community to get them kind of used to the going to school full-time. Developmental disabilities had their prom this last Friday. They had 208 total people attend, which was a record number for them. They had 105 clients, 22 volunteers, and 71 parents and caregivers who showed up for the event. They got huge coverage for the Marin IJ. So look for the newspaper. It's coming up. The guys stayed the entire time, took photos. I assume there'll be a great article come out with some great pictures and some great feedback. It's their largest event and their event they look forward the most every year. They love that prom, and some of my staff stayed back and had a great time, and they really enjoyed themselves, which is good. Community coming up, June 23rd is our first movie. It is indoors. It is Mary Poppins. We're partnering with the Marin County Area Agency to make it an intergenerational event indoors because it's a little warmer for the older folks who want to come out and do it with intergenerational. So that is on the 23rd of Mary Poppins. And then we will drive tomorrow at the rec center, partner with the Canfield Fire Department. It is a crazy day at the rec center. A lot of people come out. They, I think, are full right now. Almost everybody signed up for spots. And a great thing we do quarterly with the Canfield Fire Department. Town park restroom update. Basically, all changes that came from town council and planning commission have been incorporated and sent off. They're hoping to have it completed next fall, so about a full year before it'll be completed. I'm not sure when project will start, but basically will be done by fall of 2024. July is Parks Make Life Better Month. There'll be a proclamation on June 20th, the town council meeting, explaining about how important it is through CPRS for people to be active in parks and in programs. And then last two I have is we did a conditional offer letter to a recreation supervisor, hopefully to fill. Hopefully he'll back the next day or so if he accepts the position. And it'll probably be about 2 to 3 weeks before they get on board. So hoping about start of summer, have somebody on board in the recreation supervisor role. The last bit of news is that in the town council meeting, the town entered an agreement with Soma Aquatics to have again the swim for the summer. They are going to have a free weekend learn to swim program for kids who are low income or on the free reduced lunch. We work very closely with the Corte Madera Larkspur School District to target those students who need that free swim program on the weekends. And in that same agreement, they will be offering weekday swim lessons, weekday water aerobics, weekday lap swim, and weekday family swim. And our Camp Corte Madera will take part in that and walk over the pool once a week to go swimming in the summertime. So get some energy out, swim in the pool, and then come back. So our staff and our kids are very excited for the opportunity this summer again. So that starts June 12th and is due to wrap up August 3rd with talks of extending the fall. But for right now, the target is the summer programming for the summer. And that is all I have.
Amazing. Thank you, Tim. Any commissioner reports? Commissioner Charlie.
All right, guys, I'm sorry I left my notes at home, so I'm going to have to go through my chicken scratch here. Make do. All right, so I attended the May 2nd meeting, and the topic that related to our commission was regarding the restroom project. So there was a discussion of our recommendation and the planning commission's recommendations as well. Some of the recommendations were adopted, skylights, for example, and some were not, like stucco. It was a good discussion and ultimately it was approved. So moving forward with that, with the design. With respect to the May 16th meeting that related to our commission. So there was an informal approval of the closure of Menke Park for outdoor concerts this coming year as put on by the Community Foundation. Then there, I guess, was a friendly amendment, so my notes say, to clarify that it's not a park closure, it is a street closure. So I have friendly amended my own notes. Sorry, guys, I'm in real time here. Then there was sort of discussions and comments regarding the closure for private entities. Various requests, I guess, came in last year. There was a whole lot of them. And so they're looking to get a better understanding and a feel for and direction regarding whether there will be, on fee schedules and staff time and how we sort of work that. I thought impactful, at least, was that town council actually asked, has this gone through Parks and Rec first? And then made some comments and said, to the extent I think that they benefit greatly from things coming through us, our discussion, narrowing and tailoring things, and then providing recommendations to them, that it sort of makes their job easier. And so it was really interesting to watch sitting on this side, or that side, as the case may be, their discussion and them grappling with things in the same way that we do, and to actually really see that they found some value in that. So lots of things for them to be considered, but ultimately they authorized the town manager to enter into an agreement. You've done that. That's the SOMA. Sorry. So anyway, it's going to, I think, come to us as well, the topic, to get some direction and clarity and thoughts about fee schedule, staff time, and all things I just mentioned with respect to Menke Park and having private businesses and requests for events there. So I think that's it, guys. And I'm sorry that's not better prepared, but that's all I can read at this distance on my iPhone.
Thank you, Emily. The Executive Advisory Committee did not meet. Do we have any individual commissioner updates?
Yeah, I would just like to say that I have an acquaintance who is an elderly woman who has with some encouragement started attending some of the fitness classes for older adults and has gotten a lot of benefit from them, social, physical, emotional. And then she was saying how much she liked the chair yoga. She would like to go twice a week, but that it, you know, that would be $40 a month and a stretch. And I was so happy to be able to point her towards the scholarship program. And I'm pretty sure she reached out to you, Tim, just to know that we have that to help these people who really are, you know, $40 a month for them is a big stretch, and she would have to choose other things. And so it was great to know that, you know, we are providing that for people in the community. So it was good.
That's amazing to hear.
Yep, I like that.
Any other commissioner reports? All right. Before we routine and other matters, let's take a look.
Okay, Chair Miles?
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt, but we have an attendee with a hand
Oh,
raised
yes.
that may have a comment on one of the reports. And
Yes,
then,
please.
after I call on Patty, I will say a couple more things. Hello, Patty. I just saw your hand raised. I'm hoping it was not been raised for a while.
Not too long. Thanks, Rebecca. No, I just wondered, when Tim mentioned about the swimming, is there clarification on when water aerobics for seniors is going to be happening?
So they are finalizing that flyer hopefully today, and then I will send it out and have it available at the rec center, but they're just finalizing their schedule of when everything's going to happen. They just obviously got the agreement and they go ahead to move forward. So they're trying to schedule the pool right now. So no schedule yet, but it will be up in flyers at the rec center.
Thank you, Tim.
Right. And so looking at routine and other matters, the June 26th meeting, we will also have a follow-up on, sounds like master plan, as well as skate parks and the conversation on, oh, it's going to be a big one, the fields and weeds and pesticides. So let us know, Tim, if there's something we should move out of the June meeting, given that we're adding things. Yeah. Oh, we have.
Well, yeah, I'm not exactly sure what we're asking.
So we are scheduled to meet June 26th at our next meeting. Our main consultant for MAC 5 is out of the area that day. And he's asking if we could possibly move it to another date.
Okay.
The
Sorry,
date-
Tim, another meeting or like a special date?
A special date,
Okay.
and not have the meeting on the 26th. We were looking at, sorry, so many dates in my head, I apologize. We were looking at Wednesday, June 21st as a special meeting to have the meeting where we talk park and rec, master plan, skate park, and then obviously the discussion back on fields and weeds.
I cannot do that. I'm away that week for my son's graduation in Oregon, so.
I'm out of
Yes.
the country.
You're out of the country.
I'm also.
I'm out of the country as well.
Okay, well, that's why we asked.
There we go. The other thing we discussed, Tim and I, was that people may be out of town the first week of July as well, and that we might have to move this into the second week of July. Had we looked at dates there? I don't. But I'm sad to say we would be losing two of our voices on the commission who have elected not to seek reappointment, Louise and Aline. So we were hoping to get that scheduled before their term is expired, but it is summer and vacation
Are
schedules.
people actually not here the first week in July? Are you guys here? Is you here?
I'm leaving the 6th, the Thursday, so
Their
they're
terms
part of it.
expire June 30th.
Yeah, I would
Oh.
really benefit. I think we would really benefit from both of you if we could
Yeah.
find a time where
Maybe we
you
can
guys could
entice them
make
to
it.
come back
Maybe
and
we'll
speak
come
as
back
members of
and-
the public.
Need members of the public.
Okay, all right.
Could be,
Okay.
is July 5th an option? Looks like it could be.
Anything's an option. You was depending on your schedules.
Okay.
What the July's day before? I'm here.
And we don't, is a consultant available July 5th would be the other question.
I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm here.
so we'll get many folks, we will not get these folks. And then the other option is to continue on the 26th and proceed without Mark 5, which would be kind of a hole in that conversation.
He is back July 4th, so he would be available the 5th.
So it's the day after a holiday. We are losing 2 commissioners. There is a
Getting
chance.
A new commissioner.
I mean, new commissioners could, I don't know, it's an unknown, right?
We might not have a quorum is what you're saying, right?
Right, yes.
All right. We'll do a poll.
Okay.
We'll
come back to
convene
this.
offline
Okay.
and
So also what I'm hearing is that you're changing the meeting time rather than holding a meeting on the 26th to deal with what we can with the full commission and having a specially set additional meeting. You're thinking of a substitute rather than additional meeting.
content for an agenda aside from this item.
Well, we would have the skate park, we would have the whole discussion of weeds in the field.
We can still proceed with our regularly
I was gonna say,
scheduled
that's gonna
meeting.
be a meaty one if we've got the weed discussion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't want to burden everybody with extra meetings,
Yeah.
but sometimes, I mean, if it's a lot, it might be worthwhile to at least keep,
Commissioners as well.
that would be nice.
Are you okay with
Yeah,
that?
I'm fine with
Okay. Keep regularly scheduled meeting
Mhm.
minus the master plan
That's fine.
discussion.
Am I gonna have my car keyed for having suggested that?
We can find it. All right, June, Sarah, you're up for town council meetings. Before we close this meeting, are there any other topics commissioners would like to put on future agendas?
I'm really asking for it now. So I think that we're down one total commissioner period. And so wasn't sure if we could talk maybe a little bit about recruitment efforts, particularly in the senior community, or how we might address that. So that might be something we can talk about next time or just float some ideas.
Yes, we did receive 2 applications from applicants that withdrew their applications at the last minute due to other commitments. They are also thinking about possibly applying. They couldn't make the interview date and then had some other things coming up that would have made scheduling difficult. But I also had other questions from people that may be interested in applying, so we can reopen it. We did appoint one incredibly enthusiastic applicant who's really looking forward to joining the commission, and we have one more seat to fill. And we will try and reach out to the senior community and get an applicant that would reach that community and get engagement on interests related to the senior population.
Okay, great.
But we can discuss recruitment efforts too, depending on what happens in the interim.
Perfect. All right.
I'd have one other thing that it would be great to include, if you can, as part of the discussion around fields and field conditions, and that would be what can be done about the geese. It's a persistent problem there. It's not just the it's the poop and it's the holes that they leave in the fields. So I think it's those conditions make the fields really unpleasant. They make them unsafe and unhealthy for our kids. I know that other things have been tried in the past with plastic coyotes and other factors to try to mitigate them flocking.
I know,
trained
we have a
dogs.
dog once.
But I think if we did some research, I know that there are communities back east that have eradicated their geese problems. And I think that we need to dig into that and try to figure something out.
Will do.
Thank you.
Anything else, Emily?
Just stop.
And with yes, we'll close this meeting. Thank you so much for your attendance and participation.